You are standing beneath a Victorian chimney before sunrise, and the first thing you notice is not the height. It is the smell. Cold ash sits in the hearth. Old coal smoke hangs in the bricks. Somewhere above you, the flue twists into darkness. Your job is simple only on paper. Climb, scrape, breathe, endure, and come back down alive. But inside that chimney, the city becomes a vertical trap. One wrong movement can pin your ribs against the wall. This was not a romantic street trade. It was a job built inside soot, heat, pressure, and silence. In Victorian Britain, coal fed homes, factories, bakeries, laundries, and workshops. Every fire left something behind. That residue rose through brick shafts, hardened along corners, narrowed the passage, and waited for someone to remove it. The chimney sweep entered where the homeowner never looked, above the fireplace, inside the hidden lungs of the house. Some flues were straight, many were not. They bent around rooms, twisted through walls, and narrowed without warning. A worker could not always see the route. He learned it by touch, by pressure, by the scrape of brick against clothing. Before mechanical brushes became reliable and widely used, climbing the flue itself was often treated as the solution. In many cases, that meant sending the smallest bodies into the smallest spaces, a practice reformers would spend decades trying to end. The survival test began at the opening. The space could be so tight that shoulders had to turn sideways before moving upward. There was no clean air inside. Every breath disturbed soot that had settled for weeks, months, sometimes years. The dust coated the tongue, entered the nose, and turned sweat into black paste against the skin. If the chimney had been used recently, the bricks could still hold heat. If a hidden ember remained, the danger changed instantly. Burns were not always dramatic. Sometimes they came as slow contact with hot surfaces in a space too narrow to pull away. A sweep carried simple tools: brush, scraper, rope, cloth, maybe a small lamp outside the opening. Inside, the body did most of the work. Hands felt for cracks. Knees pushed against brick. The back pressed upward. The chest compressed with every movement. The first rule of survival was rhythm. Move too quickly, and you stir the soot. Move too slowly, and fear begins to fill the space. Above you, the flue might narrow. Below you, the hearth disappears. Around you, the walls hold every mistake. Getting stuck was one of the oldest terrors of the trade. Panic made it worse, because panic demanded air the chimney did not have. A trapped worker could not simply turn around. In a narrow flue, the body had only one direction left. If soot fell behind him, it could block the path. If bricks shifted, a small passage became smaller. The chimney was also a falling hazard. Roof work, stack work, ladders, wet tiles, and unstable masonry created dangers outside the flue. Even after a successful climb, the roof offered no mercy. A sweep covered in soot could step into wind, rain, ice, or darkness. But the most frightening threat was not always immediate. Some damage accumulated quietly with every day of work. Soot did not leave the body at the end of a shift. It lodged in skin folds, clothing, lungs, hair, and wounds. In 1775, the surgeon Percival Pott described a cancer associated with chimney sweeps, one of the earliest links between work and cancer. His observation changed medical history, but it did not immediately change the lives of the people still climbing. The disease was not a sudden accident. It was the long shadow of repeated exposure, poor washing conditions, and a trade built on soot. For a worker, survival did not end when he reached the street. The job followed him home in the dust on his clothes. Victorian streets depended on coal, and coal depended on chimneys. That made the sweep necessary and easy to ignore. Reformers saw the danger, but laws moved slowly. The Chimney Sweeps Act of 1834 tried to limit the use of young workers. Further legislation followed, including the 1840 Act and later reforms, but enforcement was often weak and resistance remained strong. Masters, households, and officials could all claim the work was essential. The chimney still had to be cleaned before the next fire. That is what made the trade so brutal. The danger was ordinary. It waited in respectable houses, behind polished rooms and warm hearths. The public saw clean fireplaces. The sweep saw the cost hidden above them. Imagine beginning a morning with several chimneys ahead, each one different, each one holding unknown soot, heat, bins, and brickwork. Your body becomes a measuring tool. Your breathing becomes a clock. Your fear becomes something you cannot afford to show. If the brush jams, you must decide whether to push harder or retreat. If the soot drops, you must protect your mouth before you choke. If the passage tightens, you must stay calm enough to reverse a movement that may already be trapping you. There was also the psychological weight of darkness. In a chimney, sound changes. Voices blur. Space disappears. The world outside becomes a rumor. Above is a square of dim light. Below is the firebox you hope to see again. Modern viewers may imagine danger as one catastrophic moment. For the chimney sweep, danger was a routine repeated until the body paid. The job punished the lungs with smoke and dust, the skin with soot, the joints with pressure, and the nerves with confinement. Sometimes survival meant refusing a climb, but refusal could mean losing work, food, shelter, or protection. That is the hardest part of this history. Many choices were not free choices. Poverty made the chimney seem less optional. By the 1870s, pressure for stronger enforcement grew. The death of George Brewster in 1875 became a turning point in public attention. The Chimney Sweepers Act of 1875 required registration and helped give authorities stronger means to enforce earlier restrictions. It did not erase what had happened. It revealed how long society had accepted a danger hidden inside its own walls. Today, the old flues remain in many historic buildings, silent evidence of a world built around coal, smoke, and unseen labor. Look at a Victorian chimney from the street, and it seems decorative, even elegant. But inside, it was narrow, abrasive, and unforgiving. The beauty of the city depended on systems that were dirty, dangerous, and often invisible to those who benefited from them. That is why this job belongs in survival history. It was not only about strength. It was about air, space, heat, fear, and time. You could survive one chimney. Perhaps you could survive 10. The question is what the 100th chimney would take from you. Every scrape of soot was a reminder that the danger was not outside civilization. It was built into the walls of ordinary life. A clean hearth meant comfort for one household and risk for someone else. The chimney sweep survived by reading darkness, the angle of a bend, the smell of heat, the weight of falling soot, the silence above. And when he emerged, blackened and coughing, the city looked cleaner because he had carried its dirt in his body. So stand beneath the chimney again. Feel the brick. Hear the rain on the roof. Taste coal in the air. The opening is waiting. The passage is too narrow. The job must be done before the house wakes. The past offers no clean exit. One breath, one mistake, one hidden bend. Could you survive this?